What a year it has been for the Nasdaq index. The market is up nearly 18% this year, and that is after a recent drop. Is it realistic to expect the same gains in 2022? Welcome to the Zenfinex forecast videos. My name is Connor Woods and I'm the senior market analyst at the company. And in today's video, I'm going to cover a forecast for arguably the most popular bull index, the Nasdaq. I'm going to run over the main 2022 themes to watch out for next year to see if this index can have another remarkable year. Okay, so let's recap on a very successful 2021 so far. Still a few days left and still got that Santa Claus rally looming over everyone's heads. But anyway, the market is up 18% this year, but at one stage it was up way above that 20% level. And what's really helped this index for me is that it first of all holds those stocks that seem to perform really well in any environment, which I'm going to go through later on. The main stocks in this index are your Teslas, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, those sorts of stocks. And throughout most of 2021, the Federal Reserve has had an accommodative monetary policy, i.e. what they've done is printed billions of dollars, and this has kept interest rates really low and has meant stock markets have been elevated. But can this continue in 2022? So the Federal Reserve have announced they're going to be tapering in 2022, and more recently they said they want to accelerate the beginning of this process to January. Now this essentially means cutting back on their asset purchase, i.e. reducing the mass amounts of fiscal stimulus, the billions of dollars stimulus, and adopting more of a tighter approach. Now this is going to lead eventually to an increase in interest rates in 2022 in an attempt to cool record high inflation readings. Will this work? Well, obviously I don't have a crystal ball, but if inflation is not as transitory as people first thought, then it may require more than one interest rate hike. And an increase in interest rates is normally negative for growth stocks, like the one situated in the Nasdaq. So this is something to watch out for. Of course, what about the pandemic? Obviously a new COVID-19 variant called Omicron has been dominating our screens. And how is this going to affect the Nasdaq? Initially, the markets will react negatively to news around Omicron because the headlines do create fear, and fear isn't good for any market. However, I will be treating any Omicron related dumps as a real opportunity to buy, and let me explain why. During the height of the pandemic, when restrictions were really tight, people were staying indoors. What were people doing when they were staying indoors? Well, they were using their Apple phones, probably upgrading their phones, shopping on Amazon, using Microsoft services on their laptops, and so on. And these companies were recording really astonishing revenues during these times. So my point here is that these technology firms can operate well, if not better, when COVID threats are higher, which is why we saw them perform so well when other companies were failing last year. I mean, yes, of course, the argument is that will value stocks now provide better opportunities next year when Omicron eases off? Potentially, probably. However, the demand for these stocks will always be there, and it's not a coincidence that most dips are treated with really powerful buying. And this takes me on to really my overriding factor for 2022. I'm not, and really never will be, interested in selling the Nasdaq unless it's a short-term play. I've been stung with it a couple of times and it just doesn't work. The overriding factor here is that the Nasdaq will see something like an 8 to 10% gain next year. It would not surprise me if it's more, but I'm being a bit more cautious on the prediction just because of the inflation risks that could halt growth ever so slightly. That's it for the fundamental analysis, but let's move on to the technical analysis. Okay, so there's actually quite a lot to talk about on this NASDAQ100 chart, and I'm on the chart right now on the weekly time frame. First of all, to look at the real long-term outlook, and as you can see, what I've done is mark that 2021 open price of around 13,000, which opened up at around here. And as you can see, only for about, a couple of weeks maybe, we dipped below that 2021 open, which just shows how strong this NASDAQ 100 chart has been. We actually come to retest that 2021 open price, and that would have been such a fantastic buying opportunity if he was holding all the way now. As expected, with a chart as bullish as this, any dip has been treated with significant buying power, which I'll show more clearly on the daily time frame for you. And we've also got this real clear RSI divergence where we actually went up on the market, but the RSI actually corrected itself, which again, a really bullish sign. And so we could treat what we're seeing at the moment, which I'll go through, as potentially a buy the dip opportunity, but it's clear on this daily time frame, which I'm going to show here. As you can see, 2021 open price still on there, buying the dips. Now, we did have quite a significant dip back in September, October, but since then we've been surging to new all-time highs. Now, this price action's a bit choppier. It's not the drawback hasn't been as clean as it has been previously. Hi guys, thank you for listening to this video. Just really quickly wanted to touch on a really exciting offer we have on the website. It's a limited time offer, and if you head over to zenfinex.co.uk, you will see the offer in front of you straight away. And this is that you can trade Forex on a standard account with raw spread plus zero commission. And now Zenfinex is also an FCA and no dealing desk execution broker. If you are interested in this offer, you can get in touch with the team by clicking learn more, or you can simply go to open an account where you can start the application process. Which shows that the market has actually did try and rally, but failed to do so, much like it did here, and then it's had that another leg down, which we've had here as well. Now, we've actually got some really interesting levels on the chart now. First of all, I marked this swing low on a previous video, and I was worried that, well, not worried, but I was cautious of this structure low being broken, and we could really be heading down to something like below 15,000, for example. But instead what's happened is we've had this liquidity grab, which I'll put on the bottom right for you so you can see it. So we've had this liquidity grab. So we've had this structure low here, this swing low that had been formed. And as you can see, the market tried, which is, I mean, a coincidence, is sitting right on the 100-day moving average. The market's tried to go and break below, first of all, this swing low, and second of all, this 100-day moving average, and it's failed on both occasions. What it's actually done is anyone who was selling the market, buying the Nasdaq, probably would have had their stop losses at this low here. So there would have been so much liquidity, because this is a market which has real bull power, bullish price action. So there have been so many sell stop losses sitting below here, which the market has just come and taken, potentially some market manipulation. And as you can see, as a response, a close above the 100-day moving average, and then a break above to the top side. I'm with obviously the whole Santa Claus rally coming up in the next week, potentially, where the stock market tends to rally in the last week of the year as liquidity is quite low and people start taking profits. I'm wondering whether this is the low that's going to be created, and the low that we're going to see for potentially as we approach 2022. So this now makes this potentially a swing low, and obviously it makes it a take profit target for anyone who's bearish on this index. Obviously I'm not. I'm treating this as a potential buying opportunity that we could even buy the market from where it is now, with our stop loss below that, just below that swing low, maybe a bit more aggressive, just below that swing low, and then aiming, for me, always aiming for new higher highs to be created on the Nasdaq. I see the Nasdaq going somewhere like, say it opens up at 15,000. I reckon we could easily see 17,000, maybe in 17,200 as our first 2021 take profit, 2022, sorry, take profit level. Let's make that green as well. There we go. So I'm looking for something like 17,000. If we even bought the market from where we are now, and we actually looked to have our stop loss below the 100-day moving average and below this swing low, aiming for that 2022 take profit level of 17,200. Would take a couple of months, of course, but you're looking at a 4.5 risk reward trade. Say you put 1% on that and you gain 4.5% in the space of 4 or 5 months, and you're doing better than some hedge fund managers anyway. So I think that's a good trade. Alternatively, of course, we have to monitor this low that's now been created, because if we do get a break below this 100-day moving average, sorry I keep saying that, and the swing low we have here, then we could see a situation where the market retests and actually goes looking towards this 14,700 mark, which for me is the floor of the market for 2022. I.e., I do not think the price is going to fall any lower than 14,700, but looking up towards that 17,200 level really interested in how we close in the next couple of days, because it could shape how the market is in the first kind of few months of 2022. And of course, I expect the market to follow a similar pattern where we just get on the next buying the dip opportunity, because that seems to be the play for this market, and I do not think that should change. I think that wraps it up really for, and of course, sorry, there's plenty of room on the RSI indicator as well, which is why I had it on there for some more upside. So I think that wraps it up for the Nasdaq video, and it also wraps up our videos for 2021. I'd just like to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, and I'd like to thank you all for the likes, the subscriptions onto our channel. We've built this channel from next to nothing at the start of the year, and we're already up at around 2,000 subscribers. We've got some really big things planned for next year, which includes just a slight change of layout in the videos. We're going to be looking to introduce potentially cryptocurrencies as a global offering at Zenfinex. So there's lots of things going on that are going to be really, really exciting for this channel, and I just thank you all for your continued support. Other than that, I hope everyone has a great time off at Christmas, spending time with their families. Hopefully it's not in any lockdown for you guys, but anyway, I hope everyone has a great break and a happy new year. I'll catch you all in January. Cheers.